let's bring in Brooks Austin, the Film Guy Network on YouTube. Brooks, appreciate you making time for us this morning. How are you, brother?
I'm doing well, boys. How are y'all this morning?
Doing good. Great breakdown on Tennessee, Syracuse. If you haven't watched it and you're a Tennessee fan, go subscribe on YouTube and watch it. I got a question for you, Brooks. We'll start big picture. What was your biggest takeaway when watching this new Tennessee offense, quarterbacked by Joey Aguilar?
Joey played really, really well, but I was far more impressed by the fact that 10 years in, 11 years in, however long it's been into the job, I'm calling plays in college like tenure. We're still innovating. Like, we're still finding ways to add on to our system. I thought they basically spent the last, it must have been 6 or 7 months of the offseason figuring out how to morph their wide voice system into a lot of what Steve Sarkisian's doing. They ran a lot of out of pistol, a lot of stuff off action, getting that rub between the back and all that stuff. And then the screen game stuff that he added to the mix. It's just all things make Tennessee even more difficult to defend and prepare for, because Lord knows he's been all preparing for the spacing and the pacing. Now we got to add new plays and new layerings to start to prepare for. So he showed a lot of additions again, and we're talking about a guy that's well into his play designing and play calling career while still adding to the book. I think that's really impressive.
Does it seem like something sustainable and something legitimate enough to actually be able to go up against Kirby Smart in Georgia? Because, so far Heupel's been, kind of dominated by Kirby, both statically and, of course, with the talent field. But did this wrinkle give you any reason to think Tennessee could maybe fare better in that match in a couple weeks?
It didn't really impact. Obviously, the changes in their deep passing has been made by Joey being a better passer downfield than Nico. But what it does, what the extent of the run game, all those screen things he added, I think it allows them to convert and move the football a little bit better against a program like Georgia, where they have been, relatively anemic in the running game because Georgia has such good bodies in the box, and they're able to stop the run. That's what Kirby Smart his program off of. So to answer your question, I think it does give you a little bit more arsenal to be a little more efficient offensively when you play those big boys.
What about trenches? Because, there's some viral clips going around at Tennessee's offensive line, their tight ends. You even pointed out, Braylon Staley getting out and springing a big block to help, Deshaun Bishop get loose. Do you see anything in the trenches that makes you think Tennessee is a little bit different this year?
I'm honestly going to wait and study Tennessee's offensive line until David Sanders gets healthy. I'm far more interested in what the premium blue chip prospect's going to do in that system. I feel like it's been 3 or 4 years since they've had an elite blue chip prospect at the tackle spot. They've been just kind of figuring it out the last 2 years at the offensive line position.
Being tapped into Georgia's program as well as watching tape on Tennessee, what's kind of a few things that you think each respective team is harping on as a coaching staff, kind of getting ready before that Week 3 matchup in Knoxville?
I think, as a coaching staff from Tennessee's standpoint, you don't really know what Georgia's passing game is going to look like until you get to them in your stadium, because they're going to have tomato cans before they actually play you. So I think there's an advantage there in the sense that we've actually seen Tennessee play a real football game. But that Tennessee defense is havoc wreaking, man. Like, for 2 straight years, I feel like Tennessee's defense can create a turnover any given moment, whether it be through defensive pass rush or somebody tipping a ball, getting an interception, and that's without 2 or 3 of their best defensive backs in the back end. So, that's what I would be preparing for. But most importantly, in that football game, whoever has the ability to run the football, both of those programs now are committed to running the ball. Gunnar Stockton at the starting quarterback, Josh Heupel at the offensive coordinator position out there at Tennessee are dedicated to running the ball on both sides of the ball. They better be able to do effectively. Whoever does probably win the ball game.
Talking about the game, and Tennessee, has tried to make that their identity under Heupel, but you're still going to have to make some plays at quarterback. Joey Aguilar, dude or not dude, or is it too early to tell?
I think he's a dude. I thought he was a dude at App State. Like, I'm not going to say I shouldn't use the word hate. I despise people who just box score scout quarterbacks. Like, if you're just going to stats reference and saying, oh, this guy threw 16 interceptions, he overprone, must be inaccurate. No, you didn't watch App State football last year. You were not watching what Jaguar was having to do. Was, hey, buddy, you got to go 60 there. You got to score 60 today because our defense can't stop a nosebleed. And he went out there and he just scored 60. Now, he put the ball at risk because he had to. They also didn't have much of a run game out there at App State. I think he is a pocket competitor, man, and a true natural thrower and passer of the football. All of those things were on display in that first football game. People say Tennessee is a pinch stick offense, that they don't do full field reads, that they don't ask the quarterback to do a lot. Well, that may be true, but they still have backsides of the progression. The front side of the play doesn't work, which oftentimes it don't. You better be able to get to the backside, and they never were able to do that last year as an offense because their quarterback couldn't do it last year as an offense. He steps in week one game, having just showed up 6 weeks ago in the middle of the summer, and looks like he's been running the offense for 20 years. I think the guy's going to be good.
Talking with Brooks on the Film Guy Network over on YouTube. All right, we talked about the offensive line a little bit. We talked about the running back, the scheme, the quarterback. I guess I got to ask, do you think the wide receivers are good enough? Because, you know, we had a couple of highlights of Chris Brazzell dropping a screen pass that maybe would have went for 6. You were talking about Mike Matthews needing to catch the ball, which I agree. You need to catch the bike because when you have the ball, you look really good. When you have it, you just got to get first. Do you think Tennessee's wide receivers are good enough? Are you concerned about their performance against Syracuse?
I think they're good enough because they're going to get plenty of one-on-ones because they're going to be able to run the ball. That's what the offense is predicated off of, making defenses pick choose. Are we going to dedicate ourselves to stopping the run today and allow wide receivers opportunities, or are we going to allow them to run it down our throats today and take these wide receivers? It's a choice on the defense as well. You're right, though. Mike's going to have to start catching the football. And as someone who has watched and scouted Mike Matthews since he's probably 15 years old, like, this is a new thing, guys. This is a ball player who has fought the ball relatively well throughout his career to the point where when he was a sophomore, I thought he was going to be a 5-star safety projection. I thought that's what he was going to play when he got to college football. But I understand the reason to want to play an offense because he is electric when the ball is in his hands. I just think we got to live with some of those things. We're going to have to live with a couple of drops. You just hope they don't come in mass moments.
I think the timing between Aguilar and Matthews is maybe the biggest issue between them right now. I mean, because it seems like he had it down with some of the other receivers, with Sealy, and it seemed like a lot of the issues in the passing game were between Aguilar and Matthews. Does that just come with more reps, or how do you fix that?
It 100% could, particularly on like the hitches and things like that. Those types of drops and ball placements were a little bit difficult, right? I think Mike got missed outside a couple of times by Joey. And you're right. That's a rapport thing in that system, particularly in that system, because your depth of that route and when you break that route off, all dependent upon the leverage and the actual coverage that you're seeing in front of you. Again, choices. You have choices as wide receivers out there in that system to run what you need to run based on what they are playing. And you and the quarterback have to see that this exact way, right? Like, oh, I know he's going to break it off now because I see the leverage that he's seeing. But if he thinks the leverage is a little bit different, we oftentimes can be on different pages. So 100% a little bit of a rapport thing, but balls that get dropped like vertically, I think that has a lot to do with rapport. Balls get dropped in the screen game that hit us in our hands. That doesn't have a lot to do with rapport. That's, hey, we need to focus, watch it in, catch the football.
Big picture thing on the way out. Alabama, they in trouble?
I just got done breaking down that defensive film. That's tough. That is a lot of bad football. Like, for example, everybody and their mama knows that Thomas Castellanos is a running quarterback. Everybody knows that he can scramble. So when I turn on tape and I see that a single defensive lineman has been told anything about, hey, don't rush past the spot, don't rush past him, don't get on different levels because he's going to sneak through the pocket and then he's running amok on our defense. That alone, that one factor alone tells me not coached very well, in my opinion, that you don't push the pocket against the guy. Something everybody, middle school coaches know, that we can't allow mobile quarterbacks to escape vertically through pockets. And the only way we avoid that is to make sure our defensive line knows they can't rush with freedom. They have to rush with discipline today. That one thing alone, before we get all the efforts, before we get into that high discipline, before we get into the run fit, they even prepare their defensive line for a mobile quarterback, guys. That right there screams, oh my God, red alarms, fire the alarms, all of them. It's all bad news when I turned that tape on. I expected to see some answers. I saw even more questions when I watched it.
That 2020 recruiting class is very strong for Tennessee. What positions do you feel like they're closing the gap on with the big boys of the world, your Georgias and Texas, Ohio States, and where do you kind of feel like they need to pick up the pace?
All right, look, here's the deal. I'm a believer in Josh Heupel's offense. I am one of those guys that says, I don't give a dang Jalen Hyatt's good old Sundays. He wins on Saturdays. Like, that's all I would care about. That being said, if Tristan Keys ain't a dude, y'all ain't nobody going to dude out of that place. You know what I mean? Like, if Tristan Keys doesn't go to Neyland and ball out for 3 years to be a first-round draft pick, maybe there is something to be said about this system, quote-unquote system. But other than that, I mean, look what you guys are doing at wide receiver, and particularly in the state of Tennessee. Like, Tennessee does not produce the level of blue-chip talent that a state like Alabama or definitely a state like Georgia or California or Florida does. So when you've got 4 and 5 stars in your state, you better land them jerseys, and that's exactly what they're doing in 2026.
Yeah, between Heupel's system getting right over the coals and, leaving Nike to go to Adidas, I don't know how Tennessee's keeping this going. Both of those things were supposed to kill recruiting, yet Heupel's getting people to buy in.
Tennessee getting $150 million from it. Woe is me.
Brooks Austin, the Film God Network on YouTube. Go subscribe. I don't say this lightly. I don't just pass out cosigns. My favorite college football content coming out right now. Brooks, appreciate you making time for us.
No, boys, y'all be good.
All right, appreciate you. That was a little bit of a curveball in the recruiting there, Sam. I wasn't expecting a curveball quite at the end. I didn't know if he covered recruiting, but
he's all in on the recruiting.
He's all in.
Can you ask him off the air about the high throws? I wanted to get his thoughts on Aguilar's high throws. We didn't get to
watch the breakdown because he talks about it. He says he attributed a lot of it to juice, just the adrenaline from because the high throws. The high throws did kind of slow down after the first quarter. The first quarter when they were really a problem. So I watched the film, and like I said, I don't usually go out and put other people over, but I have really enjoyed watching his breakdowns.
That guy's good. Yeah, that guy was good. I like what he said about Alabama, the defensive line rushing too far up the field. That is a thing that they teach you literally in middle school.
Yep,
is like when you're trying to you get to the line of scrimmage and you want to stay lateral. You don't want to run up the field and let the quarterback just slip under you.
Nope.
And that is what they were doing.
No, I enjoyed the conversation. Sam, Mr. Break. Let's talk sports on Fan Run Radio.